Super chat question. Do you know why Hubbard originally let missions be run more loosely, but then decided to smash the mission network? Yeah. The idea was to expand Scientology. And originally in the 1960s, when the franchise system was kind of invented, I believe it was in the 60s, maybe in the late 50s. When the franchise system was set up, there were not that many churches of Scientology around the world. You know, Hubbard had set up something in Dublin, in the UK, I think in London. There was, I think, an org set up by an auditor out in Hawaii, in Washington, Seattle. There was an org in D.C., a little set up in Phoenix, and that was about it. I mean, maybe something over in Sydney. Not a lot going on, right? It was not really very international in scope, not very big, but Hubbard was trying to grow it. And so when you empower people, I mean, Hubbard knew that when you give people power and freedom to, you know, do what they want to do, and Scientology had not yet, by the time this was happening, Scientology had not yet set up its super controlling, you know, hierarchy and organizational structure yet. It was very loosey-goosey, and it was Hubbard kind of sort of running things, kind of dictating from St. Hill what to do, and he'd set up this kind of telex system with the orgs, which was the latest and greatest communication system. But he needed more organizations, is the point I'm trying to make. And the way to do that was to grow them quickly, and that meant empowering people to grow Scientology in their area, which with a franchise. So yeah, it's yours, baby. You run with it. But that means you're also assuming all the risk. Right? It's your baby, but that means if it fails, it's on you. You know, I've given you direction, Hubbard would say. I've given you, you know, this advice and all that. And so Scientology grew rapidly because these were people who believed in Scientology and could market it and could sell it and could get people interested. And these are the kind of people who grew missions that ended up succeeding. And this became a huge endeavor in the 1970s when certain mission holders decided to start running more than one mission or more than one franchise. And so you had the Southern California network, and you had, that was called Scientology Coordinated Services, by the way, SCS. That's where my father and my mom got involved at the Pasadena mission, which then became an org later. There was a mission network up in the Bay Area. There was the COSMOD, the Church of Scientology Mission of Davis or something, I think, was a thing up in the Bay Area where there was a one or two or three mission holders that had a lot of clout, a lot of missions, and they grew these things because they ran them like little businesses. They recognized the business model and they used it. They took advantage of it and they played that up, and they were quite good at it. They were better administrators than L. Ron Hubbard ever was. And so they took his system and they basically ran with it and did better than he did. And he didn't like that. And so basically the orgs were jealous, the Sea Org was jealous, Hubbard was jealous, and Hubbard was basically using the mission money, the franchise money that was coming up, in order to pay Scientology's legal bills. The 10% income from the missions that was going up to L. Ron Hubbard's coffers directly basically were being used to run Scientology's legal fund. And when the dial kind of went up to 11 after the FBI raided Scientology in 1977. And they had legal bills like you wouldn't believe. This was when Mary Sue and the 11 other Scientologists were going to jail for Operation Snow White. So wrap this question up, they needed more money. And that's why the missions got squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed out of existence, right? Because that's Hubbard's sort of dementia and Miscavige's sadism and a lot of other factors played into the jealousy that existed at all levels for the success that these franchises had when the orgs could not succeed that way. All of that came together in this sort of perfect storm to destroy the whole thing. And that's what ended up happening.